I'm going I'm going in, I'ma make sure it's like all up and you guys make a big page, but when I do big, I mean outrageous. Who you think is dealing with doll face? I don't even make kings and who you know, cause I'm the ace by the case. That's right, I said I'm going in, while you out running errands, I'm running this game, I'll be in that top spot. Natural born winner, work hard, play harder, come and get it if you wanna, but yo, you better know. I'm going in.
From some of the fresher organizations in the league to some of the most experienced organizations in the league is what we have on your plate for today. Back in the LPL for another beautiful day of week number 5. And we're only in spring, baby. It feels like we've been here for a while, but we have so much further to go. Of course, today is more or less about Vici Gaming and Victory 5, as that is our very first series. Victory 5 have been the newest, or one of the newest organizations to come into the LPL for the spring, whereas Vici Gaming are still struggling, or rather struggling to climb up as we see a brand new team. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I see a bit of vocal warm-up. I hope we get a good shot of Vici Gaming doing exactly the same thing. 5 fresh members onto Vici Gaming, and more or less a team that has been impressing us. Maybe not going the full distance, but in series rather, at least making an impression. Hello and welcome back. My name's Shaker Steric Sozipenko, joined by Clement Chu. We're the Blues Brothers, and we're back here again. It's Wednesday, and it's like Happy Hump Day.
Happy Hump Day. Okay, okay. That's an interesting way to phrase it. But like you were talking about, we really wanted to find out what the V stands for here in the LPL. Is it for Victory 5, or is it going to go down to Vici? Two teams that we haven't seen a lot of just yet. Yeah,
but before we do get in those series, Clement, I got to warn you, yesterday, if you all missed out, there was an amazing series between Rogue Warriors and Suning, even LGD and FBX. But we're talking about this purely because we saw our very first pentakill of the LPL.
Hype alert, hype alert. This was Zhang Wuji showing the world what he's capable of. Suning wiped 2 members off of his own team, and then he saves the 3v5 situation. Great true shot barrage to knock out the back line, and he makes the hero pentakill. Now, first one of the spring split.
Pentakill is impressive, but a 2-0 against Suning Super Team. Remember when LGD beat IG and I was like, I don't know what's going on anymore. This truly states that again.
What is happening in the LPL right now? All the teams from top to bottom are absolutely monstrous in their performances so far. LGD even went close to taking down FBX yesterday.
Yep.
Got a great game on Yuki, assassin play against Storm B, but at the end of the day, we still have to say, FBX, they reign supreme. They are our G2, or our TL, used to be TL, of the LPL, currently sitting at 6-1.
However, like G2 and TL, they have to lose sometime. So when is it going to be for FBX? Well, definitely not today, as they will not be starting off with our schedule. Today we get that day to supplement who's going to be in the middle of the pack and who's actually going to start climbing out of the trough, that is 16th, 15th place.
We've always been talking about this from 6th to 8th. That playoff spot is so contested, and all 4 teams today actually have a chance to go there. Vici with their new bot lane, V5 with the veterans, and W and OMG, just such a classical matchup.
Oh, storied organizations, 2011, 2012, one we've seen over the years. However, with V5 and Vici starting us off, you're like, hey, why do we need to care about Vici Gaming? They're the 16th place team. How wrong you would be. They have had a pretty strong schedule, and they've been performing well.
If you look at the record, you say this is the same old Vici, but it isn't. All 5 new players are completely new. They're rookies, and just look at the schedule that they've had.
Yep.
They've had to go up against some really, really tough competition. Suning, EDG, and even RNG. Those 3 teams are pretty much slated into the top 4 already by all of our analysts.
They're winning against Sino Dragon too. Sino Dragon, another new organization, much like V5. They've come forward and they've just absolutely slayed their team. So for Vici to actually get a win there is very impressive.
I have to say, Vici is going to be my most improved team of 2019.
Oh, that's a big call.
It's crystal clear for me right now. 2018, they only got 2 wins, a split, sitting at 14th place. Today, they have a chance to tie that score already.
Yep.
And it's not about the results, it's about the manner that they're playing it. They have superstars that are not world championships from the past. They're superstars right now, and that has to go to their bot lane.
It almost feels like they are a young RNG in the making, and I know that's also a very big call, and they're very far away from it, but this is how they begin. The bottom lane, as you mentioned there, Southwind is our superstar in the making, a support to be noted of.
If there's one face you have to remember, it is Southwind. He is the best player on Vici Gaming so far, and he's really noted for creating early action. There is no support in the LPL better at getting early kills and assists. You can watch the stats right here, 2.4, and his laning phase is immaculate. They've been taking on RNG, iBoy, Uzi, and SMLZ, and they've actually won all 3 laning phases. Super impressive.
And let's just put this here. His Rakan was great at the start of the split, but the Thresh God is very well stated, Clement. One game that you'll remember for a while as we take a look at this bad boy.
He has so many kill participations. Basically, all the action on his team is created by Southwind, and he does that through great playmaking, great control of the map, and you can see his hook accuracy, as we're just about to see as we catch up to the replay right here.
Spoiler, Clement.
Absolutely immaculate. He just hits those, great prediction. Thresh is one of those big champions, but I'm a little bit hesitant to call him the Thresh God yet. Only one game on Thresh. His main champion has been the Alistar, and as you were about to see in that clip, taking it to iBoy and Mako.
So for Vici Gaming, the bottom lane, Puff is getting, I don't want to say boosted up, but honestly, this bottom lane duo, I think it's more middle of the pack now. They're definitely looking scary.
I wouldn't even put them as low as middle of the pack. I think they're already one of the top duos. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. It's not debatable. If you look at their stats in their laning phase, to go out and win the lane against Uzi and Ming, to win the lane against iBoy and Mako, to win the lane against SMLZ and Sword Art, there's, you know, there really aren't that many other good duo lanes in the LPL that you're looking to beat. Their stats prove it. And when we were doing our face-to-face interview with Sword Art, we asked him, hey, who's the up-and-coming support that you think might become your rival? The #1 answer, he said, Southwind. Southwind is the one.
That's right. And so Southwind, again, like talking with the cohesion between him and Puff. I mean, Puff at the moment also has a really good stat under his belt. So while, like, Southwind has, you know, first in pretty much every field, Puff, his damage percentage is incredibly high.
Yeah, #1 damage percentage in the LPL. That used to be held, that title used to be held by guys like Uzi and SMLZ. Those were the 2 title holders of that in the previous split so far. But moving over to Puff and Southwind this time around. And I think it's really impressive because in the previous split, we were told that Vici's new face was going to be their old core of Snow and Caveman. But this new duo has really replaced that. They're reshuffling the entire organization, and they're giving Vici a fresh start.
Well, we also thought Audi was going to come into the top side of the map, and much like Pros and similar to OMG, who we'll see later, where Xiang, we thought we're Xiang, where is this top laner? And eventually, running a fresher top laner seems to be the way to go in this LPL split. It's so close, and rookies are kind of taking over the dynamic. It's incredible to see teams like Vici into the spotlight. Now, of course, we've talked a lot about Vici, but everyone's asking, what about V5? What about this new team in V5? Well, I can tell you one thing. Jinoo deserves to be talked about here. And although they're kind of like old bits of crumbs that have just been left on the floor, V5 somehow made bread out of them.
Oh, they're not. They're more than crumbs. They're spicy pieces. They're nice morsels right there. You can pick them up and eat them.
Still being on the floor, Clement.
They're still edible. They're still edible.
You don't eat it.
Victory 5, the way we're framing them is that they are the veteran team. Now, V5 is a completely new organization, so they didn't have the time to really gel like teams like Sino Dragons, which came up. They had this organic growing period. V5 is very much a manufactured team, and the reason we haven't talked about them that much is that they are still fitting their parts together.
Very true.
However, they do have some sparks that we've been seeing really guiding the team. #1, like you're talking about, Jinoo on that Riven. Last series he had against OMG, he went with a 26 KDA.
And honestly, for Vici Gaming, they have to be careful at top side of the map. So, up there, Cheilzi. It's got Ikes, Jay, Puff, and Southwind, who have been hyping on about for a while now, down on the bottom side.
Completely new roster for them. I really like Ikes, their jungler as well. Great Nocturne player. You should take beware about that.
Also good Jarvan player as well. Jinoo, who we want to see the Riven once again. Ben 4, Korn mid lane. You should all know Korn. We'll talk a little bit about his road in the series as well. You know, Y4 in the bottom lane too. All right, Clement. Victory 5, Vici Gaming. It's the battle of the Vs, like you said. Jinoo at the moment. It's going to be the spice to add into this roster. 12, 1, and 14. on the ribbon after that one series, and they let him pick it twice. So why doesn't he go for it again? It's a specific matchup. But
exactly. We've seen the Riven being used as a specific counter matchup into the Camille. You can stop her hook shot from going on, stop the reactivation, keep her in her tracks, and just solo her out that way. And that does go to the strategy of V5 overall. They are a more red side, counter pick focused type of team. Like we said, maybe team identity and team cohesion. Not really the top level of what it could be, but they are relying on their star power to take them through. Another big point to mention is Corn. He did have a perfect series against Icon on OMG last time around. The question is, with Galio out of the meta, does he have more picks?
I mean, Corn, essentially world-class. Like, you know, even though a couple of years now into the running back into the LPL and not really leaving, I guess, China, it's good to see that Victory 5 have such an experienced roster, and maybe that is the difference between the two.
And they're experienced, but they're not old. I think that's a very important distinction to make, because we made that mistake. We were talking about Corn. He was a Season 4, world finalist. We thought he was maybe 24, 25. We checked his age. He's turning 21 this year.
It's like, how did he make it a Worlds? Well, we're not going to go further than that. Let's jump into picks and bans. Vici Gaming V5. Two teams who only have one series win and have struggled to get off this starting lap of the LPL.
Did have a very hard start to the season so far, going up against TOP and BLG. The most important pick that I thought the mid laners were having to go after was the Lissandra. Both of them are Galio main players, but then the secondary pick, both of them also on the Lissandra, so that's actually taken away. Vici takes up the Zoe first, kind of goading Corn into those assassins.
Well, really interesting as well when we've seen pick priority in the LPL towards the support position, and considering that we both have Lei and Southwind. Lei, a player we haven't talked about too much, but the Ashe locked in the first rotation red side for V5.
Ooh, this is interesting. We've seen a lot more Ashes on 9.3, but this is still the 9.2 patch, so no changes to the AD carry itemization. They're going for a very fluid global composition that can utilize just chasing down targets. This is something I felt V5, their two strongest points are. Number one, they have a great player, a split pusher in Jinoo, and number two, they kind of play that JD Gaming dogpile style where they're always looking to go in on the same place. You don't need a lot of coordination for that. You just want to be on the fight as soon as possible.
I guess that's why pick potential here definitely going to be a priority for V5. They've started with the Ashe. We know what else is available. Whether they want to go for something like the Galio, something that can hover around and challenge the Zoe in and outside of lane. But for Vici Gaming, their bottom lane, they need to shore this up. Support on the cards after locking in the Urgot.
I really like the Braum pick. It's a more defensive pick, but it does well against the Tahm Kench. Tahm Kench can't really walk up against the Braum, so they're setting up for a strong laning phase.
Okay, so that laning phase locked in now, Clement. Braum, as you said, is the safest option here for Vici Gaming. Now for Southwind, he has had a pretty wide champion pool so far, and, power to him, honestly. A newer support in the LPL, someone who can play that versatile game is great, especially if Puff is influenced by it as well. Speaking of influence for V5, Sion locked in. Now, this can still be flexed to the mid lane, as we know. But for Corn's playstyle, will it really be the answer? Maybe, especially since it's going into the Zoe.
I think it will be more of a Corn pick rather than the Jinoo pick. Jinoo so far has played the Ryze, Jace, and Riven Akali. So if you go down the list, it's all Bruisers and Assassins, while Corn has been their main initiator on Lissandra and Galio. So I feel like Sion, for them, is much more of a pick that fits their style so far. And this leaves V5 open, where they have a very solid base in the bot lane and the mid lane, and have that big counter pick in the top side. I really think Ben 4 and Jinoo, they're going to have super high jungle proximity. They're going to try to dominate that lane.
Well, speaking of V5 and how we talked about the engage, the initiator, Corner's played 4 games on Galio with a 50% win rate afterwards, so still available for him. The Yasuo is banned away. On the other side, Olaf as well for V5, targeting that jungle. The Kai'Sa, the final ban.
Oh, I like the Kai'Sa ban, taking away the main damage dealer from Vici Gaming right now. So what I do see is potentially the Ezreal, but that doesn't necessarily have the best matchup into this lane. It's going to be a very slow, grinding lane where they're going to have their waves pushed in super hard. I still think Vici Gaming will go for it. It's a very good poke type of composition. They have things set up very well for this type of comp where you can poke from afar, and it's also very hard for the enemy to walk in on a Braum and an Urgot.
Which makes absolute sense in this meta as well. You know, pick potential and the ability to keep them far away. V5, say, stay even further. Jace locked in, as you mentioned before, but the thing for Jinoo is he knows that this is going into the Urgot most likely. Well, you're not seeing a Zoe support, especially with the Braum up and available. So for V5, feels like they're one step ahead in this draft phase. But don't do this, because Mystic has played so many games on it. Vayne has been picked 6 times in the LPL. Twice mid, 4 in the bot side. Are we going to see number 7? Yes, we are.
Oh, there we go. Another Vayne player joins the LPL. Now, Vayne hasn't had the best showing, mainly because of her item spike does push her fairly late into the game. However, if you are wanting to play a side lane game, especially against something like the Jace, the Vayne can give you the advantage with that. She does have the innate sustain, and later on you're going to get building a Phantom Dancer as well. That might be the idea. They don't want something like the Ezreal. They want something that is a hyper carry for Puff. Like we were talking about, 36% of the team's damage.
Oh, honestly, Puff has the highest stat by quite a bit at the moment as well in the LPL. Vici Gaming want to add more damage to the roster. That's Ike's with the Lee Sin. He was thinking about the Jarvan before, which I think is one of his most played champions so far, but locks in for that early game presence of mind. And for V5, Ben 4, he's done it before. Why not again? Look at the front line built now for V5.
Yeah, B5, they're swapping around the Jace pick, however. This is quite interesting.
Yep.
Typically, we have seen the top side between the Sia and Urgot. In the LPL, it does go to the Urgot more times than not, but it is a lane where if you get the push, you can influence that. Now, V5, their composition overall, they're going to have a very strong kill lane into the mid. I like this idea because for Vici, their most banned champions are stuff like the Aurelia, like the Assassins. If I had to pick a single weakness in terms of their laning phase, it would be Jay, unfortunately. So V5, they are looking to capitalize on that. They have the AP and AD mix for the composition with the Gragas as well.
We know how rough it is running Jace into Zoe. The range advantage is still there. You have to have this positional error from the Jace to capitalize with the Sleepy Trouble Bubbles on Zoe. And for Victory 5, a team that we expected to be middle of the pack, has had a rough showing so far. But when you compare it against Vici, Vici's taken every single team to that Game 3, apart from, I believe, RNG, which was their first 2-0 loss. So for Vici Gaming, let's get right back on track. Big wins already in the split, big games to show that they are a fierce roster. 5 rookies who came through NISO and made their name.
Definitely. The biggest question for Vici in this draft, however, is can they get the same early game output from Southwind like they had in previous series? We were talking about he has the most kills and assists at 50 minutes. However, this game, he's going to be babysitting in Ashe, and he's going to be playing something less offensive like the Braum.
Yep.
So I feel like this is actually putting a lot of onus onto their other players. If you're picking a Zoe and a Lee Sin, you expect the same results from something from a duo like Xiaohu and Karsa, who like to play that duo as well. That's a very aggressive duo, and you can't pull ahead if you want to go that route. However, V5, they're not sitting back. They also have their focus on the Jace and Gragas as well. So this time around, even though we're saying Southwind is the face of the organization, it is going to come down to the 2v2 to decide.
He's a rising franchisee. We want one from Vici. Maybe we've got it, but Game 1 will give us a much better answer here. The very first Jace game for Korn in the mid lane here. It's a rarity to see Korn on a carry, but now finally we'll see if it's enough. I can tell you one thing, Vici have never had this many people supporting them. Well, maybe in the good old days, but it has been a long while since we've heard those chants, and those chants specifically in support for VG.
Yeah, Vici has always been known as a team that collects world championships. You're thinking about Easy Hoon, you're thinking about Bengi. They had Swift last split that had very good individual performances, but I like the courage from this org to say, you know what, we're going to blow it up. We're going to trust in our developmental process and build a new team from scratch.
Trusting in someone like Southwind. Now, I do want to talk about his runes he's taken here. Spellbook on the Braum rather than the Guardian in what is going to be a very punishing matchup. Southwind confident that this roaming is going to make a difference.
And also, if you look at Korn's itemization, it's super aggressive early on. He's starting the long sword just so he can get the armor pen a little earlier. That's how confident he is in this matchup. And though we've been talking about him being a main initiator and engager in this split so far, his best champion in 2018 was in fact the Talon. So he's no stranger to building these lethality champions.
I think as well, especially at the moment, it could lead him up to something like that, Clement. Been wanting to see a couple more assassins and out of Korn and Jay. Now, if you don't know Jay too well, coming up from the LDL, big known assassin player as well, one of the few in the league right now. Yet we haven't seen too much from him, apart from something like this Zoe, something a little bit safe. So, still, with all the Koff Z changes coming in 9.4, hopefully that changes.
I like the early wording from Vici Gaming. Like we were talking about, the top lane is a skill matchup that is swung mostly by the junglers. So they had Cheilzi do a rather risky early warding down into the top side, make sure he's safe to push that lane in. That's the most common thing that we see in this matchup, just to make sure you're not punished by the push.
Well, you said already, Urgot does go pretty well into the sign. Some good trades back from Jinoo, who has taken Grasp of the Undying, rather than the more commonly Spellbook that has changed in 9.2 and 3. Not Spellbook itself, of course, but the Scion has actually been shifting up.
Yeah, there's a lot of different keystones that players can build. Of course, we mainly think about the Shy with the Glacial Augment against the Urgot matchup.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, but everyone has their own brew right there. This is, I would say, a more defensive build overall, and he really needs to be in contact with the Urgot quite frequently to make use of that Grasp of the Undying.
Yep, he's used all the corrupting potions up in that top lane as well, but Clement, that is just going to be a big meat grinder up in the top side. So let's shift the tension here, especially towards this early game, and maybe towards Vision, but oh, hello. Okay, that's interesting.
Ooh.
Puff actually taking Domination Tree for the second.
Getting that ultimate cooldown. That's a very interesting build. He's looking to play as aggressive as possible.
I think so far Taste of Blood is quite interesting as a take there as well.
Taste of Blood, I think it's, you know, you do need the sustain just to make up for the range advantage and the fact that you're not bringing fleet footwork into the matchup. So I can definitely understand that, but the ultimate is something I didn't really see because unless you're looking to fight constantly, there's not a lot of upside to bring that for the Night Hunter itself.
Yep.
A final hour, excuse me.
Yeah, no, of course. At this point as well, I'm just glad we don't see Hail of Blades. Raz does talk it up, but in competitive, it's not always the greatest thing. So it will just be your standard press the attack. But as you were saying before, Clement, Ultimate Hunter is an interesting take. So I guess we'll see how he goes. It's a very aggressive bottom lane. I think very risky situation that Puff and Southwind have put in here.
But like we were expecting, overall this is still going to be a pretty one-sided matchup early on for V5. I like Ben 4's pathing. He's just making sure that they can swing the Scion matchup. This is a bit of a weird matchup where if Scion gets ahead, even though he's not a bruiser, he technically should lose to Urgot just based on the champion class. He can still actually come out ahead. So early focus definitely warranted right there. But overall, like we were talking about, the main thing that I want to see from the early game has to be Lee Sin Zoe versus Jace Gragas. Both of these champions have massive snowball potential. It is not going to be a matchup that can stay in equilibrium for long.
No, it definitely isn't, and especially with the matchup being pretty even at the moment. And Jay has just hit level 6, so Portal Jump now available. Korn as well will get the second level of Hammer Form. It's like Kami, like, cool, I got an extra level of ult. What does it do? Just a little bit more.
Ooh, early roaming.
Yep, Korn's coming up here as well, Clement. Predator now being locked down. Cheilzi dead in an instant there. V5 pick up first blood.
Oh, that was so clean to stack all of the damage in the same instance. Like you were just saying, it was blink of an eye. Cheilzi didn't even have the chance to use his flash to get out of that situation.
Already with that volatile top lane as you talked about before. Signed with the assist, but Ben4 picks up the first kill. Now walking mid, Jay does have Sleeping Troll Bubble available. Lands it onto the Gragas, so Ben4.
Yep, good use on the to proc the second Q. Get a bit more damage.
Oh, Flash actually burned from Ike's. Blaze challenging this Tongue Lash does not connect, and Southwind's there just in case, but Y4 is left by himself. Puff was too low to commit to the play.
I'm going to say this, but that was That was pretty unexpected. That was a 1v1 situation with Gragas incoming. I did feel like if Ike's just waited a little while, he probably could have W'd over to Southwind. But great play on Lei right there, catching Ike's off guard.
Yeah.
You have to remember, when V5 was first forming up, we thought that Road from BLG, the previous, probably the best, one of the best roaming supports in the LPL, was going to start on V5's bot side.
That's right.
But so far, they've actually been running Lei a little bit more. Without the Rakan pick, it seems like Road has kind of fallen off a little bit, just in the estimations of V5, and they are running Lei for a more defensive bot side.
I would say, yeah, they're running. You said it yourself just accidentally, Glover. They're running Lei for lane. It seems to be that they don't want the roaming support. They don't want someone like Southwind normally is, and they want someone who's more situated towards Y4, who already has a quadra kill under his belt. Was looking earlier in the week as to who's picked up the most quadra kills, and Lei's name appeared first. We do. He's either got 1 or 2, which is second at the moment after the pentakill last night.
Yeah, Y4 recently been playing a lot of Kai'Sa. We can see V5, the general way they try to win games is play a more defensive bot side, throw all of your jungle attention towards the solo lanes, and just have Y4 enter the late game team fights when he's on full build and ready to dish out damage. Y4 is still the main damage dealer of the team.
And we'll see Y4 this game go into Blade of the Ruined King first. Remember, 9.2 again, so we're not going to see that Essence Reaver, which has just been turned upside down into a fantastic first item again.
Yeah, people really enjoyed that crit chance and the ability to spam spells in lane. That's always what I like about it.
Oh, you get 1.5% mana back now, or 2. I'm not too sure. You got a 0.5% buff.
We don't need to worry. We're going to
Y point. We're going to 9.4.
Yep.
I was going to say Y.4. We're going to 9.4.
See you in the future, man.
Yeah. So, China's just stuck in time for the time being. And I guess for this early game, kind of stuck in time as well. 9 minutes in, been very paced, been very passive. Jungler's not really getting too much deep vision down, but finally now, Vici Gaming will spot out Ben4 on that Ocean Drake. It's given away at the cost of that Raptor camp in the top side, but Ike's has not been active in this early game. It's one gank that's pretty much just given V5 the lead.
Yeah, super far ahead for V5 in terms of the early game. Not a lot of gold lead, but if you think about the map pressure in all 3 lanes at this point, it's bound to spill over at one point. I'm really looking for Ben4 to go down with his first big gank. He has so many opportunities to catch people when they're sitting right behind their towers, and there really isn't a better jungler to do a tower dive gank outside of Gragas. I think they're really prone for a big play right now.
On a side note, I'm not sure what happened in the bottom left-hand side of the screen just then. It was just like, you remember this? I think they were insinuating that Jinoo actually saw Ike's. Therefore, they could play around that gank, and Jinoo still safe on the side, on the top side now. Bit of a jungle lead as we see a bit of a jungle presence or a peace of mind coming into the bottom lane again.
Yep. Good disengage coming in from Vici. They do dodge out on the tongue lash, or that could have been quite bad.
Yep.
Now, you have to remember, Gragas is considered a counter matchup to the Lee Sin. The Lee Sin basically can never get the Q2 on, if you're aware. The hitbox for the body slam will actually cancel out the damage. So he can be very aggressive, and he does have the extra flash as well. I do expect Ben, and I want to see him really take the advantage they have in the mid lane right now and make sure Ike's does not get any more red buffs.
Very easy to outplay as well. If Gragas gets kicked back into the team, he uses his ult, send Lee Sin to the back of the team. So both junglers kind of risking their life at the hands of another. Now Lee Sin does have that 10 CS lead, so Ike's been busy in the enemy jungle while Ben4 has been getting some of that vision towards the bot side, and now even top side as Rift Herald will be the priority at this 10-minute mark.
Ooh, not a fun matchup for Cheilzi right here. With the first kill going down, he did miss half a minion wave as well, and you can see him going for the culling quite early on. Also, the item advantage that Jinoo has right now will make it quite easy for a gank to just happen in the top side. So Vici, across the board, they need to play defensively and try to negate what Ben4 can do.
Well, there's no vision around here, so they can't stop a thing if they don't know what's happening. Ben4 starting up the Rift Herald, Jinoo coming down as well. Now Ike's he's only got one camp here, and with Scuttle available, Ike should soon check this. The issue is, it might be dead before he gets there. Yes.
I don't think he really wants to contest this at this point.
No
Herald very low health.
No mid-priority. Top's pretty much at a standstill as well. This will just be given over. A free Dragon, a free Herald for the side of V5, slowly strangling Vici Gaming. But remember, Vici Gaming, it's their mid-late game that we talk about. It's their team fighting that has been growing on us. They have a Vayne, they have a Brom in the bottom side. They've got so much pick potential, even though V5 do as well. It's about the damage that'll come out. Arrow is going to land. Jay, fancy footwork. Ben4 does have Predator, doesn't body slam. Jay just walks out calmly.
Yeah, just with the extra movement speed that he does get from his skill set, he was able to walk forward, dodge out on the crystal arrow, and you can see Ben4 poking his head out, but he's like, this play's too far gone.
Jay doesn't even have his first item built. Korn has his, and that's the damage comparison. Now, when everyone says Zoe lull, I agree. Look at what just happened. He doesn't even have his Ludens. What?
Zoe. Never change Zoe. Like
lethality
with all the nerfs going into Zoe, she still somehow is top priority.
I mean, Jay and Korn would both have magic resistant armor from their runes, especially. Like there'd be adaptive damage, and the last one would probably be armor and magic resist. So it's interesting to see the comparison. Now, Clement Rift Herald is dropped mid, so V5 want to speed this game up just a little bit. It's going to get a full charge here too. Turret plating still up and available. This is a big move against Vici Gaming, and there's not much response.
Yeah, they could take up to 3 turret platings right here.
So the Trouble Bubble doesn't land. Jinoo's here too. Explosive cast onto Ix, who goes back in, has to flash his way out. Rift Herald still charging down at this turret, Clement. Oh, burn, but now into the bottom lane. The 2v2 starts up. It's onto Jay with Hunter right on the back foot. That's Puff. He's the Hunter in disguise. And final hour has been popped. Y4 almost has enchanted Crystal Arrow.
That's a really good decision on Vici. You can see how tight the margins that they're playing with. They know that there's no Crystal Enchanted Arrow like we were talking about. Go straight in on the matchup, and they can use that cooldown difference in the future if they're still going to be playing the 2v2. The play that I wanted to bring attention to was how Ix actually dodged out of getting killed right there. Yep. He used the Q2 onto the Scion to avoid the knockup from the Decimating Smash. If he didn't get that Q2 into 3 people, he actually would have died on the spot.
You know, we talked about in champs like the CC chain that can come out of V5, and usually starts with Ashe, but even with Gragas, the flash in the bottom lane.
Oh, I like that. Such a cheeky play onto the minions and just forcing the flash away from Y4.
At least trying to get proactive in this bottom lane now for Ix. Y4 without a flash as well. It's an Ashe with no flash. And the Tahm Kench, I mean, if Lay's anywhere but next to the Ashe, it's going to be really hard for Y4 to get his way out. Heal's still available, but again, that slow early game. Looking to speed up here at the 14-minute mark. Jay's picked up a redemption now. He's got Luden's Echo in his back pocket too. Another serrated Dirk for Korn.
And he's just going full-on lethality. Now, there are quite a few targets that he can play against, especially if he gets the roam into the bot side first.
Yep.
And what I feel like Vici has done for this early game, I do want to commend them on their defense. All 3 lanes being pushed in. They only lose tower platings, no further kills. So I think they can stay happy with this, but the question is, can they still keep that going and make sure Korn can't make a play to influence Puff?
Well, Korn is just trying to push down that turret so he can start roaming. And Clement, it's almost gone now, but plating has dropped as well, so it's like paper. Contestant around the dragon, though. This is the mountain, and Vici is starting to group up.
There are a lot of easy targets for Vici to pick right here. Can
Crystal
they actually
Arrow,
find anything?
It is onto the Urgot. Cheilzi gets knocked back. The concussive blows need to start landing. Cheilzi at half health here. The damage from Korn is huge. Zoe comes in as well. Lane, grey health going to be popped here. Korn just trying to scurry away. Trouble Bubble doesn't land, but zones away. No one dies. Dragon is stopped.
A lot of close calls right there by Vici. Jinoo comes in but doesn't find anyone. And Ix with the beautiful disengage actually hits 3 people with the Dragon's Rage to make sure that they gain no momentum on V5's side.
Well, V5, they've got to start turning the cog soon. And again, we talked about that pick potential Clement right now. Ben4 is pretty much waiting around this dragon, looking to bait Vici into this open space. Enchanted Crystal Arrow is not available, but Puff has the final hour over the wall. Lay gets beaten by Jay, and Jay takes one from Korn. So now it's about even for both teams, but teleport coming in, Clement.
This is looking riskier by the moment right here.
Cheilzi just has to flash over the wall. What just happened? Southwind almost dies himself, healed out. Messy fight. Bit of a fiesta at the moment. Cheilzi takes full damage. Jinoo with the Righteous Glory right into the front lines. Gets the knock-up, but it's too far behind enemy lines. And all for that, the Mountain Drake will finally be secured, almost stolen by Sonic Wave.
Very tight play by both teams. I'm actually surprised that the Sleepy Trouble bubble was not, how well V5 was able to dodge out on those Sleepy Trouble bubbles. Could have very well hit Y4, who has no flash, and just ended the Dragon fight right there. But they do walk out of the situation quite far ahead, and they catch the bot lane with their pants down.
Yeah, even though it looked like a messy fight where they only get something for a lot, at the moment they got 2 turrets right through the mid lane. They rip through Vici Gaming's defenses. They break it wide open. V5 is going to start moving faster and faster with those 2 elementals too.
And that's a veteran play coming out against the rookie team from Vici Gaming. They actually get 2 towers like you were talking about, and Korn once again can force things super heavily, or they could start running the 1-3-1 composition where you have double globals incoming from an open mid lane on Ashe and Tom Kench.
Yeah.
It's going to make it so hard for Vici to continue to stay in these side lanes.
Those 1 items compared to Vici Gaming, who have just finished their own. With Blade of the Ruined King on Puff, and there's almost a Gwiznoo's Rage Blade. I used to say Gwiznoo's, you know, because
I like Gwiznoo's. It sounds cute.
And now I say Gwinsu's, and there's just a part of me that almost reverts back.
Gwiznoo's, that's a great name. It sounds like a 90s, television monster show or something.
It was like first time I was reading it, it was actually a bit of a shout out to Preacher as well, who used to call it that, and it kind of caught on. So, getting past that for now. Speaking of which, Jinoo just ults back into the wave topside. Next one's going to be Mountain though, Clement, and with 2 items on a Jace, I feel like it's very relevant that that Dragon fight could be very dangerous.
For V5, I do feel like they are the ones that want to pick up the pace a little bit. If you look at the Zoe versus Jace matchup, I would give it to the Zoe later on. And the same thing for the Vayne as well against the Ashe. She is a much better hyper carry damage dealer type of champion. So V5 are pressured to make use of their map control right now and try to find plays. However, I don't think they're going to get much out of this setup. I still would want to see the Ashe being put with the Abyssal Voyage in the middle of the map.
Right now, they're just trying to pick someone out. So although they're into the bot side still, they want Puff. And Southwind using the Unbreakable. Ashe Arrow still available for Y4. He's just autoing into the back of the turret. Ben falls here. Explosive cast hits, and it pops him straight down to the death.
And Korn doesn't even get to join the fight. Just one straight one from downtown. I thought Ben4 wasn't even get the kill.
It was the Ludens. It was the Ludens proc from Ben4 that killed him. And that's a feels bad for the AD carry of Vici Gaming. V5 are going to break open this turret as well and put themselves in a 4K gold lead.
What a nice Kobe play right there. You get the fadeaway 3-pointer and then the 2-steps back just to finish it off with the Ludens Echo as well. I don't think Puff really expected the amount of damage that Y4 was willing to trade back onto. That's the thing about Lethal Temple. You get a proc onto someone, you forget they almost have it, and then you suddenly come into the trade with the flurry stacks as well.
And this is 9.2 Zeal as well. So a lot more attack speed. Pretty sure we got more crit chance in there as well. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But for Y4, he's now got himself 2 items. This is the thing. It feels like a quietly paced game at 2 kills at 20 minutes, but still those items are coming online, and every single fight that Vici take, they're not coming out ahead. They're losing more and more resources. Y4 now moving to the top side of the map with Lei. So we've got our first kind of out-of-lane experience. It's like an out-of-body experience, except it's real.
I like the description. I like the preemptive play coming out from V5. This is actually to further punish Puff. Without a tower, he can't really stay bot. He's not that champion that wants to stay in the long lane anyway. So V5 actually correctly read the play coming out from Vici Gaming. And Vici Gaming, frankly, they can't afford to not match it. Even though it's a bad matchup, they still need the tower protection, so they have to send Puff here.
Okay, so Puff's, he's doing damage at the moment. He's got Gwinsu's. Second item here now for the Vayne. Does not have those Berserker Greaves in inventory just yet, so that is the difference between your 80 carries. But in a team fight now, you're starting to go, well, Puff maybe, if he gets in the right position. Sleepy Troll Bubble, that is an opportunity. Blasco knocked back, and fortunately, Vici Gaming end up on the right side of it.
Yep, 4v4 fight happening right there, but Lei does have to expend an extra summoner to get himself out of this situation. And I do think that's actually a successful defense on Vici's part. They make sure that V5 can't undercut them underneath their own tower. They make sure that they hold on to the blue ramp. However, V5, once that option is, that door is closed, they go to another option, which is just straight grinding down your towers.
Yep, they continue to do so, Clement. And I think what we saw there was the Colonel just saw red and said, you know what? That's the closest to KFC. So
they do that for a reason.
Don't talk to bias, Colonel. Maybe let's just wait until we get to that 30-minute mark. Because I'd say at the moment, with the second Mountain up and available, and we know how valuable Elemental Drakes can be in this current meta. A second Mountain given away with Vici just hovering on the outside. That's Cheilzi.
A great feature of Season 9 so far is that the Dragon timers have been drastically reduced. If you have map presence, you're going to snowball a lot faster compared to Season 8.
And next one's Infernal, Clement.
Oh,
so this is going to get drastic. This is going to get hard for Vici Gaming to mount a comeback. And right here and now, Ben 4 in the bush. Vici Gaming don't see it. Double man knock up. They explode the bottom lane of Vici Gaming. Jinoo comes up to party and say hello, and V5, the tempo's on with Baron right in front of them.
Oh, Ben 4 has been absolutely tremendous this game so far, making plays that make sure that Puff doesn't use any summoners. He was dead both times before he even realized it.
How do you beat Vayne? Make him irrelevant. How do you beat Elise Sin? Make sure he doesn't steal this Baron. 5,000 on the HP bar. Lei is getting low. Jinoo zoning away for Jay. Great portal jump. He lands over the side. Jay for the outplay. Locking down Lei is a big one today. Now back into the Baron pit. Cheilzi is the only one left alive. There's no Baron still, but they've taken them off. Knocked back in. Great demolition derby here from Jinoo, and V5 walk away from the Baron, but at the cost of 2 kills.
Great defense upcoming from Vici. They did lose on the earlier play, but Ike's gets kills beyond the grave.
Yeah.
A double kill right there to shut down Ben 4. And what is Jinoo doing?
Jinoo may be caught out here. Another perk to being a Vayne is that Sion cannot be tanky.
Cannot catch you at all.
That's a good pick though. If you're Vici at this point, after a couple of those picks, Clement, you're saying this could have gone a whole lot worse.
Yeah, like Vici really do get away, but let's remember the great play to start this all off from Ben 4. Alayu, that was picture perfect. Look at the distance that he sent the team back into. And remember, Vayne was in the air when that crystal enchanted arrow hit right there. That was like someone throwing up an apple and just having the marksman hit it in midair. It's amazing synergy.
That's very calm as well for a team that, you know, we haven't been singing the praises of, for a team that we said was experienced, and we wanted to see more of that experience shine through against a team like Vici, who are 5 rookies making impact in the LPL for their first time.
Yeah, to V5 just showing that they have better experience. The veteranship showing in their plays. They know that what Vici want to do, it's funnel the gold onto Puff. You make sure you have a chokehold on those side lanes, and if you look at Puff, he actually has a lot more CS than I expected him to have.
Yeah.
I'm actually super surprised by that. 2 deaths in the side lane, but he actually kept up with his farm.
Isn't it a testament, though, to how, again, we talked up the 80 carries, rather, on Vici Gaming. And Puff having the highest damage percentage, Southwind having some really good baseline stats as well. This bottom lane is down but not out in this game, especially with the way Jay's going. These Sleepy Trouble bubbles are getting, very risque. V5, their time is running out. Puff dodges away, or not even really. Southwind might be caught out here. The knock-up again. The Glacial Tomb, not existent in this game. Never mind that. V5 have lost one. Cheilzi gets a Fear Beyond Death. That makes Grandma proud. V5 again on the back foot, and Puff and Southwind might find their pick, but Southwind gets deleted by Korn. V5 might be losing this fight, but boy, oh boy, do they make it count.
It's a 3-for-2 situation, and even more.
Ben 4 is out and down. Now for Vici Gaming, they may not have a jungler, but they have a Vayne. Let's go to Baron.
I was surprised at how fast Jinoo actually went down in that fight. The HP percent damage coming in from the Vayne, melting him down, and then Cheilzi in the right place at the right time actually gets the backward fear onto Y4. Y4 had a flash, but he can't use it during that situation, and they take him down for basically nothing.
It came off a pick like Jay with the Sleep Trouble bubble. Korn has to cleanse. Jay doesn't have that much mana, but Baron's going down. Look and listen. Baron does eventually drop, but Jay chasing this kill onto Korn cannot land the paddle star. And Sleepy Trouble bubble just walked away from Baron, secured by Vici, and this game dead back to even.
And who would have thought the team that has the 2 mountains actually misses out? Puff does get around the corner just barely, and I want to see what really killed Jinoo so fast. He actually was low health and chose to run straight into Cheilzi. Cheilzi gets the fear back onto Y4, and you can see Y4 just finds himself within 4 members. Great turnaround kill by Korn, but not enough to save the battle.
It's honestly amazing that in the heat of that moment, Korn can find something, but Jay at the moment performing just as well on this Zoe. Remember about scaling, Clement? Remember about, well, let's talk about damage. Hey, remember, do you remember us talking about Puff?
Yes.
Right, and damage percentage. One team fight, Vayne in the mid game, 4K. There you go, there's your numbers. Eat
Puff
it.
the magic marksman. How is that even possible? What I was about to say, like, this is a casting secret, but you typically just guess the CS based on game state, and I thought he was going to have 180 with that much pressure on him. I look at the score, he's like 240 CS, still 10 CS per minute, and now he's at the phase where he can start using that final hour.
Hang on, Lay's caught out, and Cheilzi in a choke. This might not be good for Vici Gaming. Maybe it is. Lay gets sniped down by Jay. And Vici Gaming walk forward with his Baron buff now. Gold is dead even, but not for long.
Great collapse right there. V5 tried to force their way through that tight chokehold on the right side of the map. Probably a wrong move. Very punishable by Vici, and great snipe coming in from Jay.
And I'll be honest, the early game was rough because nothing was happening. And now the tempo goes over to the side of Vici Gaming. They're getting poked out, but into the backside. He finds a Sonic Wave resonating strike, but everyone's in. The Glacial Fissure is down once again, but Cheilzi on the Urgot. He's made so many game-changing decisions. However, this time it's about Puff. He's gotten two. And with the final hour, cleans up the backside of Vici, or V5 rather, and make the inhibitor drop.
And all the advantages vanish in a single push here from Vici Gaming. 3 towers plus the inhibitor. Great play from Ix all along. They've been having a target on Y4's back. And I want to see that play again, but it did seem like Lay might have used the Devour earlier on. Ix might have known the cooldowns or something, but it was a play that I felt almost had way too much more effectiveness that could really be expected. So wow. Tahm Kench still not in the fight right here, still in the respawn timer. Great play by Ix to read that and just use the opportunity he got to force even more out of V5.
And it's the junglers that have been pretty silent this game, but Ix says no, not anymore. Rather, Ben 4 maybe has been pretty impactful towards that early game. Now it's Ix's time to shine. And in that fight, focusing heavily on Jay, but Puff starting to do the damage, starting to drop down HP bars very rapidly. And with the QSS as well, Southwind does not have to babysit him. He can go forward. Remember, he has that unsealed spellbook. So we're going to see a lot more of the exhaust, a lot more of the ignite, a lot more of Southwind stacking up the concussive blows.
And V5 can't even take a fight outside of their own base at this point. We were talking about the Tahm Kench interactions. Y4 still with no flash. Ix still sitting on his. So the potential of getting flanked and getting someone like Jace or Ashe kickback is so high that I feel like V5, they can't really venture forward anymore. They have to stay in these tight confinements of their own side of the map.
Well, that's exactly what they're doing for now. There's no Baron objective to this top side, but Vici Gaming going to start pushing this wave with the rest of their Baron buff. Inhibitor up in 3 minutes, so the pressure in mid is going to mean that someone from V5 has to remain there and hold on to the wave. But more gold just going to Vici Gaming's pockets. The team composition that will continue scaling. When you have a Vayne, when you're at 30 minutes, you say, all right, boys, doesn't matter if we're 10K behind or 10K ahead. We're probably going to win this game.
We need a beautiful alley-oop coming in from Ben 4 once more. He's did it twice already this game, but he needs to find another one. This is not a situation where I think a front-to-back team fight can work anymore.
Crystallara doesn't hit anyone, but Trouble Bubble does. That's the mid laner Korn. Will he cleanse? Not this time. So, B5 have another chance to defend this turret, but Minion Wave's coming in. No Baron buff. Trouble Bubble lands again onto the 80 carry Lay. Protect him with your life. Jay's just such an issue.
Great play by Southwind right there. He did block out the explosive cast and made sure that there was no purchase onto Puff. He doesn't even have to burn a summoner for that. And with the main engage tool down from V5, they simply have to concede this position, back off.
Oh, never mind. Vici Gaming. Hello. Cheilzi just waiting for the wave to come up. That's how tanky Urgot is at this point. And this turret will fall too. Now, I mentioned before, Baron has dropped. We'll be back up again in 1 minute. That is the world we live in now. We don't even care about that Mountain Drake. Honestly, it's actually better. Vici got the Infernal, and they're saying, Yahoo!
Yeah, it's a much better Drake to take if you want to take fights in open corridors. There's something that V5 can't really risk at this point. So I just want to comment on how tight Vici has really played this game. You think about the early game, they were behind for the majority of it, V5 making all of the plays, and it was only a difference between one team fight. That's basically all Vici needed to claw themselves back in a 4,000 damage team fight at that as well from Puff.
That was solely Puff as well, but doesn't mean V5 can't find that pick. We looked at how they built their composition in that draft phase, and with the Ashe, with the Jace, and especially with Sion and Gragas' capabilities, plus the protection of Lei, there is so much pick potential to add again that can threaten Vici Gaming, and especially around this Baron, if they lose their jungler, if they lose Puff, or even Jay, this game could turn back around.
The hero play I'm looking for on Vici's side is going to be Ike's. He's been doing very good work on the Lee Sin so far, and I like how patient he actually is. Doesn't have the Lee syndrome, always looking to flank and potentially burn something first.
Jinoo's a tank, by the way. Doesn't have any straight MR apart from what you see there in his inventory. Lockdown again, pick potential. Bit of damage going down onto Vici Gaming, but not enough to deter them away.
Yeah, it's still a very tight situation. V5 trying to draw Vici out of the Baron pit.
Oh, three-man knock-up again. Explosive cast into Cheilzi. They've split the team fight, but Puff still alive on the back end. Look at the Vayne hitting into the Sion. Why Y4's just trying to survive. Puff goes in aggressively. They find the fear beyond death. The flash forward from Cheilzi. Ben 4 is getting hit by this Vayne. Puff takes on Y4. Does get destroyed in the end, but does it matter? V5 are 1v2ing with Korn on the side. Ike's and Southwind get out of there. The GA pop. Korn. Oh boy, the door goes up, and unfortunately the Realtor can't get in.
Good unbreakable right there by Southwind to save the team fight. That was something that I actually believe Vici could have gotten a lot more out of. They had a good start of the fight. The initial explosive cast did not go on the target it was intended to. They hit Cheilzi instead of someone like Puff or someone like Jay. So it was actually a good start of the fight from for Vici Gaming. Look at the play. It was a really good three-man knock-up, but they didn't get the intended target. Y4 is actually forced out of the fight very early on. This is something I felt like Puff should have played front to back and just closed out the team fight like that, but instead he does go for a riskier 1v3.
Oh, we're coming back, Clement. V5 into the pit. They get Baron. The pick can't come out of Ike's. He drops down, but Zoe again finds one. They're very, very low, and V5 have to get out of there, but Y4 walks over the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. He's going to be stilled up. Lei needs to save himself or the Ashe. Which one will he do? It's not him. It's not his AD carry. They both drop. And Vici Gaming clean after Baron with 1-2 members alive.
Still, I would say a slightly favorable trade for V5 right here. It's about how much Vici can get off the back of these 40-second game timers at this point. Only 2 members to really defend. They probably do give up the inhibitor, but it's the mid one, the least important one. So still small advantage to V5 if they can hold on to this push.
Baron buff easy to get through if you're Puff, though, with the true damage. Inhibitor drops down, as you said, Clement. Gold back to even. So for V5, seemed like the miracle play, but 4 members, they want to end this game.
At least they should be able to get a little bit more towers, but Ben 4 is up.
Well, hang on. One drops here. The Nexus now under threat, as maybe it's Jinoo under threat instead. The explosive cast separates Puff at half health. They back away. Southwind fronting the damage from the acceleration gate shock blast. Jinoo has the unstoppable onslaught. Will he use it?
They do have to worry about the Enchanted Crystal Arrows almost up at this point.
Here
V5
it comes, chugga, chugga, whoop, whoop, in the middle, V5, Y4, what is he doing here? Lei eats him up, but front to back is so easy now for Vici Gaming. Puff heals back up, almost gets deleted by that Jace mid. Ike's has already used the kick as well. They're right back onto Jinoo. Cheilzi is some disgusting crab that just can't be stopped, and Vici Gaming play it out perfectly.
And V5, they actually had a chance to kind of flip that fight, but Vici Gaming, like you were talking about, great team fight sense. They block the Sion incoming, they separate the combo meal, basically, of Lei and Y4 into the back line, focus down Y4, no sustained damage on V5.
Well, Vici Gaming, they see this as an opportunity, and Korn caught out again, goes golden. Ike takes a ton of damage there from Ben 4, but Vici Gaming, a lot expended to get up to this turret. Ben 4 still ambitiously throws his cask into the mix. Ike's lives this time, however, and Rabadon's Gragas is something to be feared. He keeps the game alive for V5.
Love the build from Ben4 right there. It's so hard to actually focus down onto someone that is so mobile like the Puff. So he's just going for the one-shot route. He's only got that one chance, that one late game three-pointer that he can try and turn the team fight, and just to make sure that V5 actually have a way to win. Because if you think about the team fight and how they're going so far, front to back, still in Vici's favor, out in the open, still in Vici's favor. Great block here by Southwind, isolates the potential engage, and then Y4 is just caught in such a bad place to start the team fight.
Think about if that was Ben4 though. Think about if that was Jinoo into the back line there. Lane may not have lived long, but they would have. It could have been a very different story, but Vici Gaming, front to back, easy as you like when the front line, or rather the back line, comes to you.
The play was really there, but Jay read it very well as well. The Tom Kench gets slept on as soon as he hits the floor, and there's no protection for Y4. He takes a bunch of damage that he thought the Devour was going to be there to negate. Doesn't really happen, and what looked like a potential turnaround turns into basically a buffet for Vici.
And they're going to keep on eating. Next up on the menu, this bottom lane turret that's been standing there very lonely. Just walk up. Okay, it's finally dead. Now Vici grouping as 5, because what else are they going to do here? They don't have to be in a side lane. Gold maybe even, but they still have the team fight at this point. It's very well of V5 to hold this point, but now they have to hold this next turret. Jay, will he find the snipe? No. Eaten up by Lake.
Good block by Jinoo right there, like we were talking about. The one-shot punch V5 has to deliver, has to come from the Rabadon's Death Cap Gragas. Can he actually find Puff in this siege? That's going to be their only chance.
Can they find Jay? The Sleepy Troll Bubble still coming out on the side with the terrain as well. Just impossible for V5 to stand under this turret. Jay again, here comes another paddling. This time, no one. Sleepy Troll Bubble lands onto the front line of Jinoo. That's okay. Jinoo happy to take many as you'd like. V5 give up this turret, and fair enough after what you just saw, but will they give up the inhibitor turret? Can they defend mid? More questions to ask of this game.
I love the position that Ike's is taking right there. Normally you see the Lee Sin in front of the AD carry just to make sure he can get a kickback, get a disengage, but this time he's trying to block out Ben4. He knows his win conditions, he knows the only chance for V5 is that Gragas, so he's there on the side just to make sure Gragas can't find the flank.
And Ben4 right now sitting right in front of them as well. They can't lose track, but Jay, look at the burst still coming out of Korn. Although it is into the later game stages, Korn still able to whop out those backline members. If Jay takes 2 of those, or by the way, Jay with Majai takes 2 of those, he will lose a lot of his stacks.
Now just trying to make it an even playing field. You have Poke, I'm going to return some of that favor back from Korn.
We need sort of the occult back. You know, so we can actually make it even, Clement. It was a great item, by the way.
Which one of the sort of the cult? There's so many versions where I really like the crit one. The crit one from Draven was the fun one.
Where are you thinking Sword of the Divine? That 100% crit. That's
I think that's the Sword of the Divine. My bad.
No, Sword of the Occult. You know, you're almost there.
Had the same image actually.
Did it?
Yeah, it had the same exact same thumbnail.
Okay. I don't know, maybe I was.
Did not?
No.
Okay, our producer just said no.
He did not? Yeah, okay, all right. I believed you, Clement.
I'm sorry,
Living the false sense of
not
security.
a Draven player.
That's okay.
My bad.
Nope. Doesn't look like anyone is this game anyway. Hey, we're back on Baron. Vici Gaming taking this super quick. It is in vision, however, due to the E. It's secured by Puff. Oh, boy. As close as you'd like. Another Baron. This time the 3rd Baron of the game.
Korn not able to find that final tick, but like we were talking about, Puff actually was the one to take it down. V5 venturing forward, they have to keep their formation together, make sure that Jay isn't hitting on the back line.
They've caught out Jinoo this time. It's in a pretty precarious position. Trouble Bubble doesn't land. Cheilzi is walking forward. Flash from Southwind. BB on death, eaten up by Lay. They're running away. Ike's is low, but has the GA. Y4 tagged away. Ben4, make sure he doesn't die. V5 are desperately low. Redemption coming up so they can fight again.
It's a really good disengage coming in from V5. The explosive cast keeping everyone alive, and they do dodge out on the Glacial Fissure as well. That was a situation where if they were caught just one Sleepy Trouble Bubble on the right target, this game would have ended right then and there.
They're so scared of taking the full-on fight. Vici Gaming going to play this very safe. The poke comes out once again. Y4 walks away. finally this inhibitor turret in the bottom lane does go down. And Vici Gaming now have an inhibitor to take as well.
Good continuation on the play. No explosive cast means that you can punish V5 as hard as possible. Only the Crystal Enchanted Arrow to find someone, but look at Puff's positioning. He has 3 members in front of his team, a bunch of minions. He should really never be caught out in this situation.
2 waves coming up, 1 Nexus turret remaining. A play has to come forward. They get Puff, but he cleanses away. The QSS coming into full fruition. Now for Vici Gaming, fighting their way back. The Nexus turret low, Ben full explosive cast onto 2. It's Southwind and Ike's, but he goes back in, looking for more Lee Syndrome. Watch Y4 into Southwind. He gets the pick on the support. Vici Gaming are losing the fight, not playing front to back. It's Jinoo in the mix again. Korn has found a pick as well. Vici Gaming, Korn in the middle of it, stuck in the middle of it. There's 2 clowns left and right, and boy oh boy, don't Vici know it. He gets another as well. See you later, Ikes. It's Jay with no mana. The frog is coming to unclog. Jay is walking away. Korn cleanses through it. The Sleepy Trouble Bubble doesn't exist.
This should be the Elder Dragon for V5 right here, and Jay doesn't even have the mana. He might not actually be able to run away from this situation.
He flashes through Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Korn is saved by the Devour. V5 win the fight on their last legs.
What an amazing team fight to go down. They already used all of their potential engage tools, but Ben 4 comes back with the ultimate in the nick of time. Does surprise part of the backline in this play. Puff does stay very far behind, but a questionable engage by Ike's trying to get the kick back once more on Y4. It actually cost them 2 members on the right side, and then Puff finds himself face to face with Jinoo.
Y4 did so much more in that fight as well. If you want to compare AD carries and how it should be, Puff is the scariest member right now on Summoner's Rift apart from Jay. And he did not look like it in that fight. Y4 did, however. 5 items on this Ashe. 400 CS. And V5 not out of the woods just yet. 43 minutes. One of the longest games so far in the LPL.
But it's been so action-packed. I've never imagined that this game between our middle-level LPL teams was going to be this bloody.
And
35 kills.
It wasn't at the start of the game. So those 35 kills pretty much came after the 20-minute mark. We've had 23 minutes of fights.
This is LPL I love. Team fights all the way to the end of the game. This is really what the patch team wanted when they made those map objectives so much shorter to take. Baron, you know, 7 minutes is too long. Get the action in 6.
Yeah. We've seen already 4 Baron buffs this game. Sorry, 3. The 3rd one just expired. We now see our first Elder. Part of me thinks it might not be the last.
The best option for V5 here is to take a fight straight up. Use that Elder Drake. They only have 1 minute left on it. Once that falls off, I don't think they actually have the team fight edge in the 5v5. So this is a situation where they really have to use it, and I like what Vici are doing right now. They're backing off, giving them a little bit more space.
Because they can still clear these waves out without the Baron buff. V5 don't have the range, but they do have the gap close available. Elder still up for another minute. Inhibitor hasn't been dropped down, and Vici might just give this one up in order to stay alive.
I think they should. It only equalizes the map. They still have 2 inhibitors from V5 as well. There's no need to make a final stand at this point. Look at the minion waves. V5 does not have a secondary push objective.
Because the bottom lane is still what they have to respond to. Super's pushing through. Inhibitor will be up in 1 minute 30, but Korn should be able to take care of this as well. 5 items on pretty much everyone at the moment. Ben 4, the only one we're wanting for, as well as that top side. So when I say only one, of course, I'm talking absolute baloney. But still, 10 stacks on Majai's, Clement. Doesn't matter.
That's a fun one.
Hasn't improved, hasn't gotten better, hasn't gotten worse. So, you know, middle of the pack.
Did want to see a little bit more out from him, but late game team fights against
the Scion. So much, Clement.
Huh?
Every trouble bubble has been pretty much on point.
I will say it's on point, but Jinoo has been the one catching him.
Okay.
It's definitely a situation where he's like, okay, I'll take this one.
Also
for the
a
team.
testament to Jinoo at the front of V5.
Yeah, definitely is. Definitely is. Uh-oh.
This one doesn't connect, however. Jinoo is slowed down again. Southwind and Cheilzi, who are following this up. But Baron up in 30. And Vici Gaming have re-established control with vision towards the Raptors and more towards the top side of the map. Completely blind in that pit right now for V5.
A good play from Ben 4, getting the triple slowed down to make sure there wasn't a chase down that was going to happen straight inside the mid lane. A lot of these plays are really going one way or the other by the very skin of their teeth. So we are pointing out a lot of the minute details. V5 looking for the collapse.
Remember, bottom lane still open, so the longer this goes, the better it is for Vici. The super wave will push in and make a massive wave that V5 eventually have to deal with. In the mid lane, still skirting around that fight. And Korn's on the side, but he's looking for Jay. Doesn't find it, finds Ike's instead.
Not really enough damage in these late game team fights. Even Ike's not feeling that much from Korn, so very limited target selection incoming from V5. I think they're at the phase where Vici might take the next straight up fight.
Well, potentially, they don't know where they are right now. Vision being cleared by V5. They're actually starting the Baron. Vici know this.
Double mountain, but Ike's does make his way around.
Sleepy Troll bubble in the back. They lock down the mid laner of Vici Gaming. A 4-man Dragon's Rage, though. And Vici Gaming are letting Puff go wild. They're in a choke right in the middle of it. Jay established himself to the side of this fight. He can't hit Y4, but with the Fear Beyond Death onto Jinoo. Now, it's the top laners who are all down and dirty. Trouble Bubble lands. Lay, eat him up. Save your AD carry. But he's just killed himself. Vici Gaming Y4 is on the other side of Summoner's Rift. He gets popped down, and he will die. Korn trying to clear the wave, stop the game from ending, but Vici Gaming might have more to say.
Vici Gaming with the perfect team fight. They're making a statement right then and there.
Oh, Korn. Can he
Just
escape from this?
down.
But the thing is,
Frozen Mallet.
Vici Gaming can just push mid. Death timers are that long at this stage of the game, and Korn won't be able to get away from Cheilzi. He has to take the fight, but Cheilzi happy to do so. GA still there, maybe not. Korn just destroyed him. I was absolutely wrong. But Vici might still be able to get something regardless.
Yeah, Korn did have the help of the minion wave right there, but it is a 1v4 defense. I don't think he can make it.
5 seconds till Ben 4, maybe not. Onto Puff in the backside. Korn has done enough, but maybe not again. V5, it comes close, but Vici clutch it out.
I guess we know what the V really stands for in this time, and the victory does go to Vici Gaming. Great team fight scenarios all across the board. I like the way they built their composition. They had short range, an AD carry, great disengage, great engage plays from Ike's on his end, and I'm just surprised by how little advantage they actually got from the mid game and how far they took the game with just that one single team fight. Just that one single push in the mid, double towers. You can see on the gold graph, it goes completely Vici's way after that.
It was literally one fight after one fight that took this game into overtime. And that is a graph that tells a million stories. Another thing that tells a lot of stories is Jay's damage, which lines up well with Korn. I have to say, Puff, I was expecting more damage by that 40 to 50 minute mark. Negated in a lot of different fights, I'd say.
Yeah, like he wasn't part of the poke when they were under siege. Of course, you do expect that when you're in the CG composition that the main artillery is going to get a bit more damage onto the composition.
Yep.
Unfortunately for V5, I felt like they had a very good control of the early game. The thing I would point out where I felt like they could have gotten a little bit more was that phase where Korn did have priority in the mid lane, and Gragas hit level 6. I felt like that was a golden window to put the punishment and the hurt into Vici a little bit earlier, but that didn't happen. Vici with a great defense across all three push lanes
even
to take it to mid.
Even in that top lane as well, when Cheilzi started getting punished and Ben 4 picked up the kill, you expect, all right, let's come and repeat gank. Let's actually punish this lane a bit more. Make that Sion an unstoppable force at 20 minutes in the game. Never happened. It was a very quiet early game for the LPL. And I say that because, honestly, like by 20 minutes, we see 10, 15 deaths already. 2 kills, 3 kills, and Ben 4 got himself ahead, but never went that step further to make himself impossible to kill.
Yeah, I think the big problem was just as V5's composition, they got all of their laning phase advantages, they were going to transition into suffocating map control. That's the moment where Vici chose to strike. They went in and they got the correct kills on a play onto the mid lane, which was a fight that V5 did start themselves. They expended a lot of ultimates, didn't catch out Puff, and were punished on the back end.
And when Puff and Southwind were our hyped matchup coming through, Southwind still felt very competitive in that game, but it was more about Jay, which is great to see. Vici Gaming improving on their gameplay week after week. We're going to take a short break and then return to see what Game 2 has to say.